Hi, my name is Melody, and here in this video right now, I'm threading my machine. But I'll kind of catch up on you on what happened in the last video. I had made corrections to a pattern. It's a kimono inspired top, and had last year I had started sewing it up. And then I had so many troubles with the knit, and by the end of the year, around this time right now, I decided to just scrap it. I might continue working on it, but I'm kind of over it, so I decided I'm just gonna start over. And so I changed the pattern a bit, and I used a different fabric. And in this video, actually, I wasn't ready to sew it because I was still thinking about where I'm gonna put the straps on it, the tie-ons. So I was still kind of mentally figuring that out, and I figured I could just sew the shorts. That is also made with the same fabric, as you can see here in this video. Yeah, so I've made these shorts 4 times now, and so they're pretty close to perfect, but I did make some modifications on it. I didn't use the waistband. I just raised the waist up an extra inch, and then ended up using a 2-inch elastic instead of a 1-inch elastic. If I knew I was going to do that, it was kind of just in the moment when I was selecting the elastic from my bin, I was like, oh, I have this. I was going to use it for another project and then ended up not finishing it. I have so much unfinished projects. I decided to use it, but the fabric was already cut, right? So I was like, oh, well, I'll just use it. But in the end, it is kind of not where I want it to sit, on my waist. I wish it was just a little bit higher. But well, it's fine. I still like it. If I do it again and I use 2-inch elastic, I have to remember to put in 2 inches instead. Yeah. Well, here I was trying to take out the bobbin case. Well, I took out the bobbin case, but the bobbin didn't come out with it because it didn't click when I put it in. So now I'm just trying to get it out. And the machine is I don't know, 40 pounds. It's pretty heavy, so I have to be really careful not to just slam it down. You gotta be really steady with it. And the whole table is probably around 150 pounds. And I got this machine this year. I decided to upgrade from my home sewing machine to an industrial machine because I started sewing for a local company, and then I quit. When did I quit? In October, early October, because things weren't working out. I am a single mom, and it was getting complicated. My career was kind of taking over my life, and I needed to I have so many personal things to take care of, my 2 kids mainly, and being there for them. So it's kind of a struggle. But yeah, I did what was right. I had to leave. Yeah. But yeah, I had bought this machine because I started working for them. And I got this off Facebook Marketplace for $200. And it's in such great shape. When I got it, there wasn't the computer part that controls all the electronic features of the machine was never put in place. I guess whoever had originally had it, because who I bought it from bought it from somebody else, you know. And that's kind of the thing when you live on an island and you have these great machines that they kind of just like go from home to home. And yeah, the person was telling me that it was his mom. Oh, well, she's still alive, but she's having trouble seeing now. Like her eyesight isn't so great. So he said it's been sitting in the garage for so long and it was time to let it go. So I became the next owner of this machine, and I was so happy. It doesn't give me any problems. If anything, I'm the one with the problems because I'm still learning how to use it. It's very fast, it's very strong, and I'm getting the hang of like controlling it. Like you can't go like full throttle on it, right? Because it's like so fast. So I'm kind of like learning how. I'm slowly getting it. But yeah, I'm very slow at sewing. I'm like really particular on how I sew. So I'm slow. So I put in the darts for the back of these pants, which is actually going to be taken out because, like I said, the waistband. There was a waistband originally that goes with this, and when I had made the previous pants, like the original that I made the pattern for, I accidentally made the waistband too short. So instead of like cutting a new waistband, I just made darts in the back. And for this one, I ended up not doing the waistband for it. So like the darts are not necessary, and down the line you'll see that I'm going to be taking it off. So I sewed the darts, I sewed the crotch seam, and I'm going to do the same for the front. Well, there's no darts for the front, but there is a crotch seam. So that's going to be sewn in with a 3/8 inch allowance. And I did 3/8 because that is like the seam. And then to finish off the seam, I used my serger. I had to light a candle because my dad pooped and I could smell it. It was like trailing down into my room. I had to light a candle. This is one of my favorite candles. It smells so good. But yeah, I have a very strong smell. Like after you have kids, like that my sense of smell heightened, right? So I'm very good at smelling things out. I feel like I am a human hound dog. But what was I saying? 3/8 seam allowance, right? And then the serger does a 1/4 inch to finish off the, unfinished edge. And then I fold this seam either to the left or right. And then I do a top stitch. I think it's around 1/8 of an inch. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. And that's what I'm doing here. I was gonna get an industrial serger, and I've been around the island looking for one, and I've met some people. I met this lady. She has like, oh my god, she has like 15 industrial machines in her home that she's like collected from like working over the years, and she's like retired now, and she still sews. And like her husband had made the post on Facebook Marketplace. It was the serger that I wanted. But when I got there, she's like, no, I'm still using that. That one's not for sale. I was like so confused. I was like, oh, are you sure, Auntie? Because I seen the post. It's this one. You sure you're not going to sell it? Because I want it. She's like, no, not yet. I'm like, okay. But then she took me all over her house, and she's like, she's got, it's like all over the place. And there's this one room that she's kind of using for storage, and she's got like 8 in there, and they're like all like bumper to bumper next to each other. I'm like, I'll be back. I will be back later. Let's be friends. And she was sweet. She's like telling me, you should work by the there's this was it alteration place by the NEX. Yeah, you should go work there. Like, the benefits are so good. And I'm like, okay, but I never got around to doing it. Okay, so we got like I said, I did the initial sew line, and then the serge, and then I did a top stitch, and now I put the front and the back face to face on each other. And I'm gonna think the first thing I'm gonna do is the side seams. So you can see there's a little like sort of waver of the top stitch, and it kind of like irritates me, but since it's for me, like, it's fine. It's not that big a deal. So I'm taking the side seams, lining it up nicely, and then I'm gonna sew. Yeah, I don't use pins anymore because they're kind of like time consuming, waste time, and I try to just get it all done as quickly as possible. It's funny when you work for a company, it's like every minute counts, you know. Oh, what they taught me was that, like, you should hold the end and then sort of like fold it halfway, and you're using your fingers as like as pins to sew it straight. So yeah, this was to make sure the feed dogs don't move. It's because, you know, there's 2 layers there, right? Like, sometimes the feed dogs are like so strong, it makes the bottom layer like shift higher than the top layer. So this is kind of like a trick to like keep it all even. You hold the bottom edge, and then you fold it, and then you kind of like hold down that middle part as you sew, to make sure everything kind of evens out at the end. Because it's kind of like, you know, humbug when you you know, you sew it, and then at the end you find out that it's not lined up, and then you have to take it off. Like, when you work for a company, like, you try to reduce you know, seam ripping as much as possible. So you gotta make sure this is like a guaranteed method that it's gonna line up. So I'm doing the same steps, straight stitch, and then serge, and then top stitch for this. Well, first was the crotch, right? The front crotch, the back crotch, now the side seams. And then there is also like another inseam. Yeah, it's a tiny one, but it's inseam nonetheless. And on my serger, I turn off the cutter, and I just hand cut the like the tiny bit of excess that didn't like line up very well when I sewed it. And I've played around with my serger to get like a really sweet spot where it would be it would cut a little bit of fabric, and then the loops of the serger would hug the end tightly, but it would never ever do that. There would be like a little bit of gap where the loops are hanging off the fabric edge, and I really didn't like that, and I couldn't figure out how to make it work. So what I do is I just hand cut the excess of the fabric edge, and then with the cutting feature off, I would just serge, because that way, like, I can move the fabric closer to where the needles are that does the serge, the loops, the finishing. Yeah, so that's how I do it. And then you saw that I took out the back darts, so that like now the front and the back are equal widths. Now I'm doing the last seam, which is the inseam. So I cut a little bit of the excess. See how it's just like a little bit, and then I can serge it. Yeah, when the cutter is on, like it's hard to move the fabric closer to where I want it to sew, so that it does a nice finish. Because the more you would move it over to the right, the more it would keep cutting, right? Because the cutter is first, and then the needles. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah. So my solution was to just turn off the cutter. And then I think I got everything sewed up. The next part is the hem, I think. Or no, it's the top stitch. Yeah. I like to do all these steps because it makes a really strong seam. And so you can like throw it in the wash. You can like, bend down, run around, and like the seams won't pop. Yeah, I like making things last as long as possible. The reason why I went to school for fashion is because I really wanted to learn how to make clothes the right way. And there's no like right way, wrong way, honestly. But for me, like learning different methods was important, and then developing my own method for sewing was important to me. Like I know like the seams that I make are as strong as I can make them. They're well made, and I try to make sure the quality is there. And I've made clothes for myself, I've made clothes for my kids, and I've thrown them in the wash like all these years. And like it's a good way to find out like if clothes will actually last, and they do a pretty good job of lasting, and I'm happy about that. So yeah, now I'm gonna do the hem. It's sort of like a roll hem. I think it's half an inch. It's the inseam is really short. You don't got a lot to work with. Sometimes I would just serge the bottom and then fold it once and then just stitch it, but I don't always like how that looks. Like for the side seams, they're fine, but like for the hem, I don't know, I like to do like a proper hem, which is 2 folds, right, and then a stitch. So I'm very slow. I'm cutting out like a lot. I think this video was the raw footage was like 2 hours of just footage, and then I cut it down to 30 minutes. I'm probably gonna add a little bit more at the end, because I forgot to add like me wearing the pants and sort of modeling it. I guess that's something I should do, so you see like how it fits. Yeah, so it might be more like 40 minutes, so from 2 hours to 40 minutes. And yeah, see, like I like to have my little ruler with me and make sure everything is properly at that 1 inch mark. Like I don't want it to be wobbly. Like I don't want the hem to look wobbly in any specific areas. So I have my little ruler and I would check like constantly if it's still like exactly at half an inch. And then you go all around the circumference and you go back over the original stitch line. And I go a little bit extra just in case like it doesn't line up. And then I can sort of like pull out some extra threads to the point where it did line up, where I made it line up at the end. So yeah, that's kind of a trick that I do, because it will bother me if it's not perfect. It will bother me and it will haunt me, and it will be so hard to forget that I did that. It's hard to be a perfectionist. I feel like it is a disease. It's so hard to change. So I did one side and then do the other side. And yeah, this is what it looks like. And the next part is you're going to see me trying to attach the waist, the elastic, but I take it off because I forgot a step. But yeah, so when I was digging in my box with all the elastics in it, I was like, oh, I keep a little bag of excess from other projects. And I'm like, hey, I remember this. I was going to use this before. And like the 2-inch is nice because, you know, like, look, I have a belly. And sometimes when you have pants that has elastic, sometimes it will roll over, right, when you sit down. So I like the 2-inch because it's been proven in my experiments that like the 2-inch doesn't roll over. I like that. I like not having to like stand up and like fix my pants, you know. I've never been a skinny person. Like, I've always been chubby, so I know all the problems of chubby people, and then it's kind of nice that like I'm solving the problems of clothes for myself and for other people. I love making clothes for other people. I've worked with like really skinny people. I've worked with bigger people. And I've worked with like people who are super curvy. Man, I have a friend, her hips are like 40 inches and her waist is like 30. I was like, holy heck. You have like a true like figure 8 figure. That was fun. I made her like kind of like a cosplay sort of outfit. Yeah, I hope she's happy with it. Like, I worked so hard on it and I love her. Yeah, so what am I talking about? Oh yeah, so I had picked out the elastic and then I realized, oh, I can't put the elastic on yet. I have to put in the buttonholes first for the drawstring, because it's not just going to be elastic, there's going to be a drawstring too. I know you can buy elastic with the drawstring made with it, like it's woven in to the elastic, but I didn't want to like do that. Like, I have so much elastic and I have so much things I can use as drawstrings. So I just kind of like morphed the two into one. Okay, here I'm like having a dilemma. Am I going to use the 2-inch or am I going to use the 1-inch? Because I only added a 1-inch extension on the waist. So I'm like, now I'm like trying them on. You're not going to see anything. Because my belly is in the way. But like, I'm like, look in the mirror, is it gonna be fine if I use a 2-inch, you know? So I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. It's not sitting like, if I had added that 1 extra inch, if I knew I was gonna use this one, it would have been perfect. Because also like, I kind of like also yank it up a little bit where I want it to sit, but then like I get camel toe, you know? So it's like, it's fine. I wear a oversized t-shirt with this because I have a thing where like I don't like showing my butt. Like I don't like wearing leggings or biker shorts, and then I'm wearing like a short enough shirt where my butt is exposed. I don't like people seeing my butt or the shape of it. I'm very modest. So I wear sort of baggy clothes or wear like dresses that are kind of foofy. Yeah. So I have my home sewing machine that does buttonholes. I'm just setting it up now. Let's see. This was my first sewing machine. I've done so much projects on it and it still works. I love this Singer Confidence. And then they have but you know what? For the longest time, I used to use the automatic function for the buttonholes, but I learned recently that you can do the steps one by one. You just have to, for me, I have to like I have to scroll through the selections, and then it lets you sew each step one by one. And that's better for like control. Like I wanted to start on this specific point, stop at this specific point, you know, for the buttonholes. Because when you do the automatic, it kind of just like, it's less control and it looks sloppy. So yeah, I found out that doing it step by step, it looks much better. You put interfacing on the back so that it'll have like a steady, it'll be more stable to sew because all the stitches are super tiny. I'm sorry, I didn't know that the machine is in the way. I like to really like get up close and see what's happening, making sure things come out nice. And look, it does come out so nice. Look at that. See, it's just a little buttonhole big enough for the drawstring to go through. But yeah, so when I do it this way for the buttonhole, it'll do like an upside down L, right? That's one step. And then it'll go make the bottom part of the buttonhole and then go up. And then the last step is to do the last stitch on the right. So it goes like counterclockwise, the top buttonhole, and then it goes left down, and then goes across on the bottom to the right, and it goes up like as little straight stitches, and then zigzags back down, and then finishes off, and then carefully cut the hole for the buttonhole, and there you go, and it's the buttonhole. Now I'm going to pin the elastic. So I marked the elastic into 4 equal sections, and wherever that mark is, I'm gonna pin it on the back seam, the front seam, and the side seam. So the elastic is equally pinned on the waistband. So you see as I stretch the elastic. For each 4 sections, I'm also going to find the mid section and pin that. And because I don't have a third arm, I have to use my mouth to I stretch it, right? And then I use my lips to clasp that middle right there. and then I take my other hand, and then I, grab it, and then I pin it, so that you can kind of see that, like, that kind of evens it out. I haven't found a better method than that. Oh, and then have my son. This is his job when I need him, when I have to do this. I'm stretching the elastic, and again, I don't have a third arm. So I have to call my son. I was like, can you put the lever down so that the foot drops? And then I'm able to start sewing. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to have kids. Sometimes. Yeah. So, okay, you stretch it out as you sew. That way it makes a even distribution throughout. And there you go. It's done. You went around. I went around. You're watching. I'm doing the work. And then now I'm going to fold it. This part is so important. You want to make sure that it doesn't bubble when you fold over. You want to kind of like smooth that excess so that the fold is taut, right? So I've made pants before, shorts before, where I didn't do this step. I skipped the pinning and it bubbled so much. I hate it. I don't like it when things don't look nice. I want it to look as professional as possible. And when you want things to look really, really, really good, you really have to put the extra work. And then, okay, I went all around. Yeah. Sometimes you have to pin. There's no choice. Pinning is necessary at times. But wherever you can like not pin, you gotta do it, I guess. So okay, you stretch it again, right? And I'm at the longest stitch length for this. Yeah, and you know, just doing like 1/8 of an inch, maybe less, as close to that edge as possible. Yeah, this is like the second to the last step. We're so close to being done. It is so close to being over. Okay, yeah, so what I did is I go over the beginning of the stitches and the kind of just back stitches itself. Oh, I bought this little device, this little tool from Daiso. Also, a lot of things I buy are from Daiso. Like the drawstring is also from Daiso. I am not allowed back in Daiso. I spend too much money there. I buy too much stuff. But I haven't been there maybe like in a year. So I should go back, right? So you put this thing in, and it's just like I used to use the safety pin, but that would take forever. And this way, this thing is so much faster. You know, saves time. Yeah, I love it. Thank you for inventing that. So I put in and then I do that. I tie it, and hey, it's done. And then I decided to add these wooden beads, like to make it more like rustic looking. And I couldn't get I did so many tricks. I put tape at the end to like get it through, but then this thing worked the best. It's kind of like one of those threaders. What is it? Just thread. Is it called a threader? Yeah. Kind of use that concept with this little piece of elastic string, and then you tie the thing at the end, and that's it. We're all done. Now I wish like I had put pockets on these just so that I could put my hands at least in them, because I like doing that. But that would require doing a separate waistband, and I didn't want to do that. I was lazy. But here, this is what it looks like on the outside. I'm going to flip it over so you can see what it looks like on the inside. If I do this again, I would have to, I think I'd raise the waist up 1 inch more, just so that I don't have camel toe It's just like camel toe. It's like up there. Just because like I have the tendency to like wear pants like high rise. Yeah. Yeah, I think I did a good job. I think I did a really, really good job. The fit's pretty good too. I might go a little bit bigger. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do. Fits fine. But like, you know how I have like a belly? It sticks out just a little bit. And I don't like that. I want to try to like make pants that fit me perfectly without elastic. So it would be like a zipper and a button. I want to do that. But I know that requires a few extra steps. So I have to be willing to go do more work. Yeah, I don't know. The fit is fine. I think I do have to go a little bit bigger or just lose weight. I mean, I want to lose weight. More weight. So, I mean, I'm a big girl, but yeah. Well, that's the end of the video and I hope you liked it. Thank you for making it this far in the video, if you made it this far. Okay, I love you. Bye.